Welcome to the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast on Boom Broadcasting. I'm your host, Michael Davis. And as we approach our 100th episode, yes, we are doing things just a tad bit different. And I wanted to do our first ever Q&A session. If you watched last week's episode, we had a few guests on. They gave their SummerSlam predictions. By the way, was I right or was I right? Because SummerSlam 2024, I believe, is the best SummerSlam of all time. SummerSlam 2002 withstands the test of time, but when you look at SummerSlam 2024 from top to bottom, starting out with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, the betrayal of Dominic Mysterio, the beginning of a new Judgment Day. Not a new day, a new Judgment Day. When you look at LA Knight win his first title on the main roster, all the way to Finn Balor turning on Damian Priest and Gunther winning his first world championship to the main event, where Solo Sikoa could not overcome the odds and was Superman punched and speared by the OTC, the original tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And yes, Cody Rhodes retained. From top to bottom, this was a fantastic SummerSlam, followed up with an incredible Monday Night Raw. And yes, I was on the Nightcap with Mouthing Off with Mike, and it was quite the time. It was fantastic. So if you want more in-depth analysis of Monday Night Raw from myself, Mike, and another Mike, you'll want to watch the Nightcap that's available on demand through the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. And right before, a few hours away, I will be at AEW Dynamite in Winston-Salem, and I'm super excited, going with my dad, going with several friends, and I'm just going to have a blast being a wrestling fan, because Wayne Thomas was like, hey, I really enjoyed Monday Night Raw in Baltimore, and how could he not? What a fire episode that was. And of course, I gotta go be a part of the live wrestling experience tonight at AEW Dynamite. But before we get going, wanted to say thank you to all the people who submitted their questions, and am excited to get these on the screen. We're going to be throwing these up randomly and reading them pretty randomly. So without further ado, let's get started with the first one. Knit Ram from Four Sides of the Ring. I'm about to be a part of 3-count trivia with Four Sides of the Ring. He asked us, Gunther, his two big wins, King of the Ring and SummerSlam, not being clean, to value his accomplishments. Not at all. I mean, Gunther is, if his accomplishments have been devalued, you're not respecting the Ring General, the World Heavyweight Champion, the King of the Ring, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. I mean, how many Intercontinental Champions did we have? Since the Honky Tonk Man, we had Dolph Ziggler, we had The Miz, we had Chris Jericho, we had this one, we had that one, we had Cody Rhodes. None of them came close to Honky Tonk Man. Not even Santino Marella, who started advertising that he was going to break the Honky Tonk Man's record of being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. Nobody did it. And nobody brought prestige to that title like Gunther. Gunther is not only the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, he's the longest reigning NXT UK Champion. He has held a championship. His debut in WWE was 2019, about 5.5 years ago. Gunther has held a championship, whether that be the UK title, whether that be the Intercontinental title, or now the World Heavyweight title, for 75% of his career in the WWE. That is a feat in of itself. And so everyone knows that he can go in the ring. Everyone knows that most of his matches, most of his victories, he's been dominant in. So for King of the Ring, and if you watch Raw this past Monday, you saw they continued that story with SmackDown superstar Randy Orton coming to Monday Night Raw, challenging Gunther, and getting a rematch at Bash in Berlin at the end of this month. And it'll be Randy Orton versus Gunther. So first and foremost, Gunther won that tournament. But in addition to that, Gunther will have a chance to redeem himself at Bash in Berlin against Randy Orton, where he'll probably win that one clean to make it a more decisive victory over a 14-time world champion, a future Hall of Famer in Randy Orton. With that being said, that that automatically makes his win at King of the Ring valid. And then you go to SummerSlam. Yeah, he didn't beat necessarily clean Damian Priest because of Finn Balor throwing Gunther's leg up. That's true. But if you notice, it wasn't immediately that Gunther won. Gunther may have kicked out. We don't know that. Finn Balor didn't give Gunther a reason to. But Gunther had to hit Damian Priest with a few more of his good shots in order to win the World Heavyweight Championship. So, no, this does not devalue Gunther's accomplishments. I think we're going to look back on the World Heavyweight Championship reign Gunther is about to embark on the same way that we look back on his Intercontinental title run, the same way that we look back on his UK title run, his Intercontinental title run. It is going to be quite the feat for Gunther. Continuing with our Q&A panel, we have Sean. Sean asks, is Joe Hendry a surefire PWI ranked one wrestler of the year, or will it be someone else? Now, Sean, you have a wrestling podcast of your own, Saturday mornings. Congratulations. Congratulations, Sean, being the largest podcast video viewed in the first 24 hours with Wrestling of Destiny. Then the Nightcap had to, go and take that number one spot for the week, which Sean was also on. So Sean has bragging rights over everyone right now of, hey, my two videos were the most viewed videos in Boom Broadcasting history. So kudos. He works really, really hard. But asking if Joe Hendry is a surefire PWI ranked one wrestler, could he hit top 10? Sure. Could he got top 50? Sure. I'd be shocked if he was in the top 100. And give Joe Hendry credit. Joe Hendry is the definition, the personification of getting yourself over. He got himself over not with wrestling fans, but non-wrestling fans. Like, his song has shot up the charts on Apple Music, Spotify Music. Like, he literally made himself a meme, and it has done wonders for his career. Like, people didn't know who Joe Hendry was. People weren't watching TNA. No offense to my TNA fans. I know, Sean, you're a big TNA guy. But Joe Hendry put TNA on the map. Joe Hendry put himself on the map. And for that reason, he should be very high on the PWI rankings when they come out. However, he is not the number one wrestler. When you look at guys like Will Ospreay and what he has done in AEW, no contest. Will Ospreay, probably number one wrestler. When you look at what Gunther's done, between being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion to being the now new World Heavyweight Champion, he should be up there. I would rank Ospreay over Joe Hendry. I'd rank Gunther over Joe Hendry. Throw Cody Rhodes up there. If MJF wasn't as hurt most of the year, you could have made a case for him. Throw Swerve Strickland in the mix. Like, there are so many other people who have done it on a bigger stage than Joe Hendry. And yes, Joe Hendry's time could come here in the future. but it's not happening now. Give me anyone else over Joe Hendry when it comes to the number one ranked wrestler. And that's no slight on Joe Hendry whatsoever. Don't take this the wrong way. There's just a bazillion wrestlers doing the best work of their careers. Joe Hendry, I'm sorry, is not my number one wrestler if it were the PWI rankings and I was doing those. Up next for our Q&A, we have the model, Wayne Thomas. What we got here? I don't know if that's an updated profile picture, but we'll see. We'll see. He says last week we saw the Bloodline win the tag team championship belts. Yes, we did. And did I not call that? Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, doing great. Hopefully Jacob Fatu is okay following that injury. It looked like he sustained at SummerSlam. It says a day later, the new Bloodline looks defeated. Roman Reigns is back and the momentum looks gone. What's next? Who challenges them? How long is their reign? Was it worth DIY losing to them before SummerSlam? This is one of the more scrutinized decisions by WWE. And unfortunately, everyone who's scrutinizing that loss is wrong. I'm sorry. This isn't a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. This is a Wednesday. This is a wrestling podcast. But if it was any other day of the week, I would call you out of pocket for saying that the Bloodline should not have defeated DIY. This is what they needed to do all along. Here's why. You were having Solo Sikoa go up against Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship in the main event of SummerSlam. Solo needed to be the tribal chief. He needed to be the head of the table. Well, when Roman was the tribal chief, when Roman was the head of the table, who was tag team champions? The Usos in the Bloodline, becoming the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history. And for that reason, for Solo to look legitimate, for this new Bloodline to look legitimate, you needed Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga to be tag team champions, and for them to win the titles a night before SummerSlam, it looked like Solo had a chance to actually beat Cody Rhodes, especially if you look at what happened the rest of the night. You had Sami Zayn lose his Intercontinental title after he won it at WrestleMania. You had Bayley lose her women's title after she won it at WrestleMania. It was setting up perfectly for Cody Rhodes to lose his title until Roman Reigns came back. And he says, the momentum looks gone. What's next? Man, and everyone and their mother is saying it because it's so obvious. We're about to get one of the greatest Bloodline Civil Wars of all time. And people were like, yeah, there was a Civil War last year. No, 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 no. That Bloodline Civil War looks like a battle when it comes to this because we have it split. This isn't the New World Order, black and white versus the Wolf Pack. This is something in of itself. Kudos, kudos, kudos to WWE for doing this because, man, it's going to be the new Bloodline. You got Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns. I believe Roman recruits Jimmy Uso once Jimmy heals from injury. And then who fills out the other two spots? I think you have to go OG Bloodline. I feel like Jey Uso needs to get moved to SmackDown in order to reunite with his brother. They've already had that one-on-one singles match at WrestleMania they dreamed of. Jey Uso's gotten a big, big push on Monday Night Raw. He's not winning this World Heavyweight title away from Gunther, so that moment has passed. And then you need to find a way for Sami Zayn to get back in the fold with the Bloodline. And you even saw the handshake between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso this past Monday on Raw. And for that reason, I feel like we're going to get a 4v4 War Games down the road. Even carry it as far as you could. I mean, We need Sammy. We need Jay on SmackDown. We need to trade Randy Orton and A-Town Down Under officially to Monday Night Raw. And there you go. I feel like that's a fair trade. Don't you? Uh, so what's next? Who challenges them? I feel like Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga will hold these titles for quite some time until the Usos reunite and eventually challenge, maybe even win the tag titles once again. So I could see this title reign going at least to the Royal Rumble, maybe even to WrestleMania with Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. If Jacob Fatu is healthy and his knee's okay. Was it worth DIY losing them before SummerSlam? Absolutely. I mean, they couldn't have defeated A-Town Down Under and gotten the same reaction than beating DIY, a beloved tag team, and beating them in Johnny Gargano's hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, again, the city of losers. Sorry, not sorry about it, but it was 100% the right decision for the Bloodline to beat DIY and become the tag team champions. Excited for what these guys are. Might have gotten caught off there. Who knows? We'll look back on it when we do our edits and everything. But what we have next is another Q&A with one of our people. Let's check. Oh my goodness. You wildin', bro. Mike from Mouthing Off with Mike. He also releases his podcast on Wednesdays over on his YouTube channel. He's doing the Nightcaps. We did one for SummerSlam. I was on for Raw. He did a great one last night for NXT. He asked, how much do I owe for the swear jar from the Nightcap? If you notice, we do a disclaimer on some of our shows now. That disclaimer includes, a few loose words from Mike and his guests. We try to be respectful with several different words. So yeah, but he has let a few slip. He actually did send me over a 20 in the swear jar, but he is indebted to the swear jar from the Nightcap, and all that money goes into the channel and for a good cause. Unfortunately, I'm not pocketing any of that money, but I would be pleased with a few more dollars or a few less swear words to where the swear jar gets empty. But it is helping supply the giveaways that we are doing for Boom Broadcasting. If you missed the announcement on Out of Pocket yesterday, we want to give the EA Sports College Football 25 game away. Like, we want this out of our hair. We want to do more giveaways. And so the giveaway is closing Friday evening on Out of Pocket. We'll announce a winner. Super excited. So if you are not subscribed to Boom Broadcasting, if you're not following one of the social media channels, if you didn't follow the other two steps that was displayed on that video on our YouTube channel, you need to go do that pretty quickly. You have 48 hours, give or take, to do that, depending on when you're watching this episode. So please, please, please get yourself entered. Make sure you're doing it, because we're giving it away before we even hit 500 subscribers, just because we want to show appreciation. We want to say thank you, and we want to do more of our giveaways. So thank you to Mike for supplying some of the stuff with the swear jar money he gives away. Up next, I want to see who we have in the Q&A. And we have Nitram from Four Sides of the Ring back. He said SummerSlam had no tag matches on card where all the titles were on the line. Does this mean the tag division champions are an afterthought? I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean the tag division and the champions are an afterthought if they're not on SummerSlam. What we have seen through the premium live events is WWE's not going to load a card up with 8, 9, 10 different matches. We're not going to see 4 to 5 hour long premium live events anymore. What they're going to do is they're going to select the best 5 to 6 matches that have the best story, that have the most on the line, And we are going to get a solid top to bottom premium live event. We're not going to have those filler matches to where people are like, hey, it's time for my bathroom break. Those no longer exist with premium live events for WWE. AEW, they do great pay per views as well, but those can get 5 to 6 hours long. And there are several matches that you're like, yeah, it could have been on Dynamite. And they're like, but they're champions, so we're going to have to throw it on pay per view. It it's not the case. It's two separate approaches from WWE and AEW. Both have their pros and cons, and this is one of the cons, no pun intended, for WWE, that you're not going to get all the championship matches. You're not going to get all the rivalries on a premium live event. Sometimes you're going to get it on the SmackDown before. Sometimes you're going to get it on the Raw after. And that's totally okay. In terms of the champions being an afterthought, that couldn't be further from the truth. Both tag team champions right now are strategically crowned. When you look at the SmackDown, I just explained a few minutes ago why it's important. Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga were tag team champions and crowned the night before SummerSlam. I just explained that based on one of our other questions proposed. For the Raw side, JD McDonough and Finn Balor, those tag team champions were crowned to elevate the rivalry between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, to help with the dissension of the Judgment Day as we knew it, to help integrate this new Judgment Day being led, question mark, by Finn Balor and comprised of JD McDonough, Carlito, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan, as Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are no longer members of the Judgment Day. Also, fun fact, don't know if you knew this, the original members of the Judgment Day were Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. They all three are no longer members of Judgment Day. And this is why I compared it to the Bullet Club Monday during the Nightcap with Mouthing Off with Mike and Shadow. That's why, because Bullet Club, you see, leaders, help take a group to new heights. And when you need to mix it up, they kick their leader out. They kick this person out. They kick that person out when they're ready to go out on their own. And I'm seeing the exact same thing happen with the Judgment Day. They need to change things with Edge. So they brought in Finn Balor to be the new leader, kicked out Edge. Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, ready to be stars. Boom. Let's kick them out. R-Truth served his purpose in a comedic route. Let's kick him out. Let's team him up with The Miz. They win the tag titles at WrestleMania. Totally okay. But guys, these are elevating some of our main card storylines. Whether the Bloodline elevated the solo match at SummerSlam, where Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD McDonough got help from Liv Morgan, allowing them to side with Liv over Rhea and Damian Priest. Like, these are not an afterthought. Please, please, please don't look at it on paper and take it as black and white, because it's not always black and white as people make it seem. Thank you, Nit Ram, for that question. We now go to our next question. We have my guy, Nate, with another SummerSlam question. It appears, was SummerSlam too angle heavy and lacking of clean victories? Or is the creative options coming out of the event worth it for what we'll have lined up over the course of the next 5 to 6 PLEs? In addition, he said, should a big three pay-per-view, Mania, Rumble, SummerSlam, very interesting, he didn't include Survivor Series, very interesting, have more feuds come to an end than what they have over the last 3 years? That's a loaded question right there. That is a big text bubble. I mean, that is a big text bubble. It is bigger than my hand. Like, what the heck? Okay. Was SummerSlam too angle heavy and lacking of clean victories? It doesn't help that most of the matches did end due to dirty finishes. And by that, I mean Dirty Dom costing Rhea Ripley the title, Roman costing Solo. You You had Finn Balor costing Damian Priest. Like, these happened. Uh, of course, I believe, I mean, even LA Knight and Logan Paul was like a little shenanigans, even though LA Knight pretty much, quote unquote, won it clean. Braun Breaker, pretty much won his clean. I feel like this SummerSlam will still be remembered as the best SummerSlam ever. People can still put SummerSlam '02 up there, and I'm not going to be upset. People could put SummerSlam '03, '04, '05, anything in that era, and be like, hey, pretty good. This was pretty good. But I tell you what, this was totally great. And the creative options coming out of the event worth it for what we have lined up. I feel that's the huge thing. You here's the deal with WrestleMania, with SummerSlam, with the Royal Rumble even. Royal Rumble a little less because it is the whole purpose of the Royal Rumble is to propel people to the main event and show people what WrestleMania is going to be shaping up to be. When it comes to WrestleMania and SummerSlam, these aren't season finales. This isn't your favorite TV show on in the fall, or you're watching Netflix and you get to the very end and it's this big shebang. No, you don't have this cool off period of 6 months to a year before you get the next installment. They need a reason for people to tune in the following Monday. We're talking a 48-hour turnaround. The big thing you need to be asking, not about SummerSlam or WrestleMania, is did all the stories finish? Are we getting a clean start? Did we answer and did we get the big payoff for this feud? No. What you need to be asking is, do I want to watch on Monday? And for years and years and years and years, people didn't have a reason to. I would hear from so many people, yeah, I'm probably just catching the pay-per-view, or even worse, I'm just catching the big pay-per-views. What I'm not going to do is watch Monday Raw or watch Friday Night SmackDown. Heck, even watch NXT. I heard that for so many years. What I heard after this SummerSlam, I can't wait to watch Monday Night Raw and see what happens with Judgment Day. I can't wait to watch SmackDown this Friday and see what Roman Reigns has to say. These are the things I'm hearing from people. And as long as people are saying that after a premium live event, WWE has done their job. And with that said, I feel like WWE accomplished exactly what they needed to when it came to this SummerSlam. Now, I have one more text bubble when it comes to the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast for episode 98. And it's coming from my guy. He also has a wrestling podcast Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. He'll also be doing It Stinks tomorrow for Thursday. I don't know what TV show or movie he's talking about, but he asks, with American Made debuting and losing in their first match as a faction, will we as fans take them seriously, or will they just be another faction that puts others over? Here's the deal. And here's another reason why they probably weren't the best option for Wyatt 6. Yes, I understand Wyatt 6 are kind of not the Shield where they're fighting injustice, but they're basically targeting people who have done wrong. But getting Chad Gable with this new group of Julius Creed, Brutus Creed, it's tough because they lost to the Wyatt 6. You weren't going to have them beat the Wyatt 6. But who can they beat in order to get themselves over? Because they've gotten Otis over. They even got Maxine Dupree cheered after she got booed out of the building for being green. But American Made, they haven't won. And what's going to make this team different than the Alpha Academy? Because Brutus Creed, Julius Creed, they deserve to be doing their very best, and they deserve the best. So what I think is we need to take them seriously. And to do that, I mentioned a few trades happening. I mentioned Randy Orton and A-Town Down Under needed to go to Monday Night Raw permanently after their appearances on Raw this past Monday. I mentioned Jey Uso and Sami Zayn need to be traded to SmackDown in order to be involved with the Bloodline story. I'm going to go ahead and say it. American Made need to make their way to SmackDown. That's it. They need to get into a feud with Legado del Fantasma. Get into a feud with Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. Like, get to a point where, Kurt Angle and Team Angle made their mark on SmackDown. Kurt Angle, Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas. SmackDown just screams American Made with Chad Gable, who is Kurt Angle light. It screams the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus. They need to make their way to SmackDown in order to have a fresh start, get away from the Wyatt Six, get away from the Alpha Academy, and actually do something on their own for fans to take them seriously. That is what needs to happen. What an incredible episode. We've never done a Q&A for Drop the Mic, so I'm super happy that we were able to do it. And if you want to watch, we will actually not be here next week. We are taking Wednesday off for some birthday celebration, and we will be back for episode 99 Wednesday, August 21st, which means our 100th episode of Drop the Mic. I am happy to announce, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, it will be August 28th. One day before my birthday will be the 100th episode of the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast. Almost 3 years to the day where the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast originated. So I am super happy to announce that. The 100th episode a day before my birthday, and it's going to work out just perfectly, and it will be exclusive to the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Be sure to tune in to the AEW Dynamite Nightcap hosted by Mouthing Off with Mike tonight. I will be enjoying that show in person, and we got a huge slate in store for you the rest of the week on Boom Broadcasting. But thank you so much, Sean, Wrestling of Destiny, It Stinks. Thank you, Mike from Mouthing Off with Mike, for doing the nightcaps, for sending in that question. Thank you, Knit Ram, for Four Sides of the Ring 3-count trivia. If you're not a part of 3-count trivia and you're a content creator and you want to be a part of that, hit my guy Knit Ram up from Four Sides of the Ring. Thank you, Nate, for showing up his question. And thank you, Wayne Thomas. Nate and Wayne are both admins on the Wrestling Movement Facebook page. You can go follow them and all this stuff they're doing. Much appreciated all around. I believe I covered everybody. If not, don't hate me. It's been the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast. Whatever you do, don't drop the mic, and we will see you back here on Drop the Mic, not next week, the week after, for episode 99, but Out of Pocket will be back, my sports show, tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and Friday, when we announce the Boom Broadcasting College Football 25 giveaway winner live on air. We can't wait to see you there.